Sanibonani babukeli sinamukele nonke kuphi nakuphi lapho nibheke khona intandokazi yohlelo lenu Yilungelo Lakho it's your right khona la SABC 1 eMzansi for sure uhleli nomangcolosi kajali ngithi 0117146918 alternatively 7146919 consumer@sabc.co.za is our email address ungasithola futhi on Facebook as well as ku Twitter. Bukeli sisayiphetheke nje lenyanga ephakamisa futhi ehlonipha amalungelo omama noma nje besathwaliswe umthwalo onzima kakhulu kusemqoka kodwa ukuthi omama bathole inkululeko nokubekwa futhi ezingeni elifanele bakhushulwe ukuze bathole ukulingana na kwisimo phela sezomnotho. Yikho ke namuhla lolu hlelo ludingida phela izindlela ezingasisiza ukuthi siphinde futhi sikhuthazeke nokufunda futhi ukuthi njengoba siomama yiziphi izindlela esingayiphilisa ngazo futhi siphathe kahle imali. Ngaphambuke kokuthi silidingide kabanzi lolu daba ake sibheke nanku umbiko wethu.
Usashicileleke ezingqondweni lomncelele ka-1956 nalapha amanina abhinqela phezulu ukuya kwizakhiwo zomdibaniso ukuyokuqhankqalazela amabhasi. Kude kube namhlanje omama basathweliswe onzima umthwalo, impatho gadalala, ukuxhatshazwa nokuphathwa ngokungalingani eluntwini nasengqeshweni. Xeshelo kusalindeleke ukuba bangatyhafi basingathe uxanduva losapho uluntu nesizwe ngokubanzi. Minyaka le ingakumbi kule nyanga yethuba evuyisana nobugorha bamanina sikhunjuzwa rhoqo ngemingeni nentlungu abasajamelane nayo eyempatho engalinganiyo nemivuzo ephantsi xa kuthelekiswa neyamadoda phakathi kwezinye izinto. Lo mivuzo ephantsi namathuba angalinganiyo kwezoqoqosho yile ebenza ukuba batsale nzima eluntwini nakwihlabathi liphela. Yilonto ke kuye kunyanzeleke ukuba omama bangcotshele phezulwana bazame amanye amacebo okuphilisa iintsapho zabo. Omnye walo manina atyhala ngesifuba ukuphucula iimeko zabo kwezoqoqosho nguzintsikelelo Madikwa wakumantla Rhawuti noqeshwe njengomlawuli ofisi yenye yenkampani zeliphondo. OkaMadikwa akalindelanga mvuzo wale nkampani kuphela. Imeko imnyanzelise ukuba enze enye ingeniso ngokuthengisa impahla ecaleni ekuhlaleni. Enye yalo mpahla uyicelele ukuba ithengiselwe kule venkile yempahla ese-Alexandra.
Ndiyaphangela 9 to 5, then after my working hours ke ngoku ndikwazi uba mandihaslishe and then weekends kulapho ndihaslisha khona. Endikhuthaze kwi-hustling is just because ndibonile baba i-economy yethu and i-unemployment rate is too high and cost of living is too high. Being a single parent ekhulisa abantwana bayithu ngomsebenzi ka-9 to 5 bendibona baba ayizimithi izidingo zam.
OkaMadikwa uthi elishishini lakhe limhlangule ezingxakini.
Ndiyakwazi uba mandibeke isonka etafileni and ndiyakwazi uba mandibhatale irent apho ndihlala khona and then bayaya esikolweni.
Uze uqonde ukuba oomama zintsimbi ezingagobiyo, into ezisa neqhinga linqabile. Elinenekazi uMogadi Rametsi ufunde isifundo esinzima kwizinto zezasezimalini. Wayesakuba sisitatanyiswa engena kwangxaki zentswelamali ehamba ngeemoto ezinamagama. Ngelo xesha wayeneshishini elinempumelelo. Kungoku nje obobomi sebaba yimbali nje, njengoko ekuhambeni kwethuba walahlekelwa yinto yonke.
Due to some bad financial decisions and some fantasies of the world, I was still young, wrong advices as well. Ngagcina senginemoto ezu-10 on credit. Now COVID started, even before COVID, I was indebted a lot of debts and I couldn't pay those cars. So they were being repossessed one after another. Then in 2020 was the last time when all the cars were then repossessed.
Okarametse uthi wasuke unganyelwa zimeko.
Inkinga yami kube ukuthi kule moto lebenginazo kunokuthi ngisheshe ngizibhadale ngicede ngike ngathenga imoto ezidurayo ngamuva nami ngaphuma la eDeepsloot ngayohlala kwama apartment adurayo so that thing iyo affected kakhulu my finance when it comes to making sure ukuthi imoto ziyabhadala. And then obviously also because of some previous relationship where I was also given the advice to say, "Hi, ungathenga imoto manje ngizokusiza ukuyibhadala."
Ngethamsanqa elinenekazi liye lomelezwa yimeko yalo enzima. Liphinde lawalivuka laqala phansi ukuseka elinye ishishini nalapho afundisela khona ukuqhuba izithuthi. Kwelinye icala usaqhubeka ngomsebenzi wakhe njengomlawuli weshishini loqeshiso magumbi kudedehlo lwevenkile. Uthi ukuphulukana kwakhe nako konke ebenako ngaphambili kumvula amehlo.
You also save money for rainy days. Ungathathi imali ubeka all the time wena uyathatha imali uyayidla kumele uyenzeni usave imali yakho and ungayenzi business A1 as umuntu because mayingawa le uzowa.
Amabali alamanenekazi mabini uNtsiki Madikwa noMogadi Rametsi atsho lukhulu ngemfuneko yokuba amanina axhotyiswe nangakumbi ukuba akwazi ukumelana nemicelimngeni okuziphilisa nempathomali kumama.
Soze kube late and abantu bazothini will never pay your bill. Let us be ourselves and prove the guys what men can do, women can do more.
Phaphama Changana Dube, Yilungelo Lakho.
Masibonge kakhulu ke kusisiphapha Manjangana Dube ngalo mbika sididiyele wona manje ke mbukeli ukukhuluma phela kabanzi ngokunyuswa komama kwezemali asamukela udokotela uMavis Mazura. She's a financial expert alongside Usisithobile Masina. Yena ke we can introduce her as an assistant ombuds. She's also part of the Money Smart Week South Africa. Ladies, what a pleasure. Dr. Usubuyu, Doctor. Congratulations, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and it's always good to be here.
Always good to see you, Mavis.
Yes.
Looking forward to your advice. Very quickly, what do you think? Two very different women, very different backgrounds, very different scenarios, but I'm sure women at home in South Africa are saying, I see a lot of myself in this lady.
I think, you know, what comes out from that conversation or from that highlight is that, you know, as women, we're still behind in terms of financial literacy. We still rely on hearsay, like somebody giving us advice that can lead us astray. That means we are not developing our own financial confidence that is learning what we need to learn so that we can make those confident financial decisions on our own without necessarily just relying on what our friends say, our family members say. And some of them that do give us that advice are not even experts. They're not financial planners. They are not even financial experts. So you rely on someone just telling you maybe their own personal experience or what they've heard even. And that can really, you know, just take you astray and it can put your finances in disarray.
Sisithobile, welcome to the shows. Introduce kancane nje wena usitshele ngawo ukuthi nenzani emsebenzini. And then maybe also now just give us a bit of insight. What do you think mubona two very different women from different backgrounds, different situations?
Okay, thank you for having us today. So as the National Consumer Financial Education Committee, we committee representative namhlanje as somebody who is employed by the Office of the FIS Ombud. Siyabonga lethuba enisike lona to be a part of the show today.
Thank you.
So I think, so just to give some insight, kulombuzo oqeda ukubuza about the type of work that we do. So njengoba ubusushilo, I'm an assistant ombud for office elibizwa ngokuthi Office of the FIS Ombud. So FIS Ombud imele financial advisory and intermediary services ombudsman. So as an office, si investigators buye si resolve ama complaints eswathola from abantu aba-purchaser ama financial products ahlukile. So i-office lethu is actually established in terms of legislation. So asinama voluntary people that sign up to be part of the office. We actually have a mandate, ne jurisdiction, yok investigator, any form of financial service that is rendered to members of the public, if it pertains to a financial product. So our office also lama decisions esiwathathayo masiqeda uku-investigate a complaint mangabe we issue what we call a formal determination. Leyo determination leyo ifana ne-civil judgment of the court.
Okay.
So umuntu
So it's
angakwazi-
binding?
It is binding on the
Okay.
party. So they don't have a choice on whether or not to accept it. They are compelled to accept the
comply.
decisions that we issue as an office. So our office then is part of a committee called the National Consumer Financial Education Committee. So NCFEC, in short, was established in 2012, and then it was established after cabinet approved the reform of the financial sector regulation. So NCFEC is made up of ama members ahlukile. Lawo ama members lawo are members from the ombud space, members that are NGOs that are in the financial sector regulation space.
Okay, so
manga
your financial services board also comes under
yes,
that
the Financial
umbrella.
Sector Conduct
Okay.
Authority. So that is what it was renamed to after the Twin Peaks model. So we also
Thank you
have...
for clarity. Yes, this is Tobile. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, asiqhubekeke, what is your take on the inserts, Siswam?
Okay, so I think, the insert, in my perspective, is important because I think it's combat two very different scenarios. And I think, like Dr. Mavis has just said now, an important aspect of that is financial planning. And I think something that our office does, must investigate AMA complaints, we emphasize the importance of financial services as specific to a consumer. Because I think the danger esibonayo kuma financial services ukuthi esikhathini esiningi abantu babuye banikwe advice engekho specific to their needs and their specific circumstances. So I think into esibonayo kulama examples from the insert namhlanje is that ama financial circumstances wabantu awafani. So ne advice ekufanele bayithole angeke ifane because izo influencer yilama circumstances bona abakiwo specifically. So as an office, if you look at the legislation that we investigate complaints in terms of, one of the things it specifically requires is that before a person can render financial advice to a client, they actually need to take into consideration the specific circumstances. So what is that person's risk profile? What is that individual? What is their experience with financial services? And also when you render financial services, one of the things you have to take into consideration is not just financial product experience, but the literacy levels of that specific person that you are rendering the advice to. So I think today's insert shows us the importance of that because on the one hand, Sinalo Sisu who's having her side hustle, so her circumstances are different even though she has a 9-to-5. And somebody else who entirely relies on their small to medium enterprise that they are currently running. So I think it emphasizes the importance of individualized financial services.
How important is it, Dr. Mavis, ukuthi, as women? I mean, we are head of households, we are breadwinners, we are financial providers, they are single moms and so forth. So women generally in South Africa have a heavy burden. And then when you juxtapose that with the fact that there's so much inequality between payment esitholayo against amadoda, then you are going into serious ground that we're not even going to try and cover today. But how do we then conscientize ourselves as women to start thinking in good terms around money?
Okay, I think the financial literacy aspect is very important. And I think that starts with self-determination, right? She was talking about financial situations are different. Who am I? What is my financial story, right? What income do I have? What is my earning ability, right? Can I expand my earning ability or do I just rely on a 9-to-5 job? And so it's important to self-determine around finances. What are my financial values? It's very important. What are my financial goals? What do I want to actually achieve with my money? Because we notice, as you mentioned, women carry a heavy burden of looking after families and most of their finances go to that. And very little, if any, is actually channeled towards investments. So the majority of women do not actually have those investments that they are actually, sort of engaging in or, in spending or using their money to actually, build assets for the future. So a lot of us then retire or even, stop working and we don't have enough to survive on. Yes. So it's important to actually self-determine around finances, but build your financial confidence. It's very important because here's the thing you mentioned about men, right? In South Africa, women are children are the responsibility of women.
Of women,
yeah? And I think there's also a legal provision that, a child belongs to a woman, right? And what does that mean? It means that your money is going to school fees, upkeep, food, not even investment. It also takes away from our ability to have those confident conversations with our male counterparts.
Wait, Dr. Mavis, let's hold it there because I really want to take a break and dig deeper into that. Mbukeli 011-714-6918 or 714-6919, consumer@sabc.co.za. Sikhuluma ngokuthi nina ke omama sonke njengoba omama sigubha inyanga yabo mama sinisiza kanjani ukuthi nikwazi ukuthi nisebenzisane kahle naloko okuncane bandla kwemali esitholayo. We're back shortly after this. Ngayindawo. Welcome back, Mbukeli 011-714-6918 or 714-6919. Consumer@sabc.co.za is our email address. Is khona futhi on Facebook, sekhona on Twitter. Ongasithinta la e-studio. My guest today, the lovely ladies, Snosis Thobile Masina, ovela yena Money Smart Week SA, and of course, Dr. Mavis Mazura, who's a financial expert. Sikhuluma ngokuthi ke thina njengomama siyazi ukuthi in most cases we're discriminated against when it comes to izinto zeyimali, asiholi imali elinganayo nama counterparts wethu esilisa emsebenzini. So sithi kwenziwa kanjani ukuthi thina mama with the responsibility ukuthi sigade nezingane nama families ekhaya sikhulise nabantwana, yiphi ke le mali ekuthiwa sisave kumele siyibeke. Thobile, doctor said something very profound before we went to the break, and this is where I want you to also come in. I mean, looking at some of the research that you guys maybe have conducted, or looking at the trends in Wabonile. Obviously, we all know South Africa is ranked amongst the top in the world for ukuba unequal. And worse when it comes to women. I mean, women are still marching now. How many years after the democratic dispensation? And amalungelo abafazi are still not yet recognized. So how do we then start? Where do we start the fight with ukuthi silwele izinto ze-inequality amongst abafazi nabantu besilisa?
Okay. I think engacala ngako alisho ukuthi njengoba bengikhulumile ukuthi today I'm representing the National Financial Education Committee.
Yes.
So i-NCFEC is actually chaired by i-National Treasury. So i-National Treasury, as you know, they develop policies, and kulawo policies about developayo enye into ababuyine bayibheka ukuthi who are the vulnerable groups lawo ekufanele siwa target. So even as a part of Money Smart Week South Africa, kuyo Money Smart Week South Africa, we have identified ukuthi abesifazane, they fall into the group of marginalized people ekufanele sifocuse kibo when it comes to policy development and the strategy esi-employer yothina as a committee and as a Money Smart Week to try and bring financial education and financial literacy to abantu all over the country in South Africa. So engaqale ngikubheke mhlawumbe ukuthi recently actually i-Financial Sector Conduct Authority ba release a baseline survey report that looks at trends of financial literacy in South Africa. So kuye lo baseline survey conducted yi Financial Sector Conduct Authority. So lama results bebawa release in July on the 28th at a workshop. Kulawa ma results lawo enye into abaphinde bayibheka ukuthi abantu besifazane, how much of a percentage do they make up in terms of people that say we don't know much about financial literacy. And then even within knowing about financial literacy, the Financial Sector Conduct Authority has actually broken it down ukuthi kuyo i-financial literacy yini into uncomfortable ngayo as abantu besifazane. So are you comfortable with budgeting? Are you comfortable with savings? Are you comfortable with investments, with insurance products? And the idea or the intention behind collecting that type of data is so that there can be an appropriate strategy as developer yiyo i-NCFEC, the Financial Education Committee, to try and address some of those issues. So as part of that strategy to address those issues as identify as the committee, that's why we have Money Smart Week South Africa.
Okay.
So Money Smart Week South Africa has participants ahlukile from all over the country. Maikala, it was only focused on Gauteng, but so that was in 2018, and then in 2019 we didn't have Money Smart Week South Africa, but then in 2021 it was a virtual campaign that we launched. So as part of it, we focus on all the different topics that cover financial education and financial literacy literacy. And because sipartnera nabantu who actually, present financial education on a regular basis, that allows us to make sure that we cover all the various topics, because we don't just have one participant maybe as a focuser on just savings or just budgeting or credit, but lama participants gunama activities ahlukile that they organize and that they run on the Money Smart Week platform.
That's a great initiative. Wena Lokhuzana Sisithobile, I'm going to get back to you now. I just want to quickly go to the lines. Mam Doreen on the line all the way from KwaZulu-Natal, my province. Mawam.
Hello ma,
Kunjani?
Majali nami.
Ha umajali Sistorini ngiyawamukela.
Ngihlala ngibuka njalo la TV. Manje na ngine problem.
Yebo majali.
Manje na lana ngine problem yemali enga-investor ngo 2011 e-FNB.
Yebo.
Manje mase ngiyifuna lo mali kuthiwa ayikho.
How? Bathi yephi imali?
Bathi ayikho, ngibese ngithinta no-Ombuds wase-Cape Town, wathi imali isi-expire ishelwe iminyaka ifanti ine 3 years expire.
Okay. All right, Mam Doreen, as much as kungeyona topic ya namhlanje ne, I'm going to ask the ladies maybe if kukhona mhlawumbe abangakunikeza kona, but sizozama ukuthi sidingide kabanzi le lokhuzana le point oyilethayo namhlanje Mam Doreen. Ladies, she says, I think she's talking about a savings account of some sort that she invested money with a bank, a certain bank, and then when she went to look for money, they're telling her that it's not there or there's something is expired or something like that. What would you think that is, Mavis, very quickly?
I have never heard of money that expires or
yeah,
an account
that's also that's what caught me off guard. Like money should be it's supposed to be collecting.
If the card expires, the account is still there.
Yeah.
So you would need to get a new card or whatever it is, or reactivate the account, but the money doesn't disappear.
But
so
I mean, Toby, let's speak to this. I mean, this is where we then need to maybe emphasize the issue around financial literacy in women. Because if women are still not sure about the kind of investments that bona abawenzayo emabanga, for example. So it means we've got a long way to go.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think, so umama magakhuluma, ngibuye ngicabange ama complaints esiwatholayo as an office. Because esinye isikhathi, I think inkinga icala ngokuthi umuntu anga understand the nature of the financial product. So mhlambe yena uyidescribe as an investment, ekubeni leyo product le yena wayithola was not actually an investment product. Because ngesinye isikhathi kuyenzeka uthola ukuthi umuntu bamthengisele an insurance product, because akhona ama products, so it's called an endowment policy.
Yes.
So endowment policy, it is partially an investment product, but it's primarily an insurance product. So kuyenzeka ngesinye isikhathi ukuthi mhlawumbe umuntu, they're looking for financial advice, lo muntu lo omncedayo with the financial advice ayidingayo, describe leyo product ngendlela ekungasiyo. So umuntu athathe le information ayitholile, they rely on that. So mhlawumbe umama uhlele ekhaya wazi ukuthi it's an investment product, ekubeni bekungasi investment product from the beginning. Because if I can just give an example, we had a complainant who actually begafuna a retirement product. So begafuna a retirement annuity. Wazi yena ukuthi njalo makakhipha imali every month ubhadala towards the retirement annuity. Makufika isikhathi sokuthi retire, wathola ukuthi he was actually paying ama contributions for a funeral policy.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
so
goodness.
At the time maga apply for the policy, the information ebamnika yona was not correct. So I think umama lila kufanele aqale khona aqala yena abheke ukuthi lama documents engawathola, do they actually show ukuthi I had an investment or a savings product?
Ngingamsiza Sisithobile, because I mean she's saying that uphuma kwi-ombuds somewhere. So I just want to know ukuthi angakhona ukuthi alethe icala lakhe kunini.
Yes, so I think also important to distinguish ukuthi ama-ombud schemes ahlukile in South Africa. So kuyenzeka ukuthi umama le ombud scheme akhuluma ngayo is one of the voluntary ombud schemes, and I believe it might even be the ombudsman for long-term insurance. So she can definitely approach our office and then indicate ukuthi she has tried, to get assistance from other offices, and then we can see how we can assist her.
Okay, Mam Doreen, Majali ngiyacela ke lapho ntokazi ukuthi uzoloku ubona nje la kwi-screen sakho uzothola i-information Sithobile uthi icala lakho ke angakubhekela ukuthi mhlambe bakhona ukuthi bazama ukukusiza. Let's quickly take up uLungisa from Cape Town before siye Kefin. Lungisa, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show.
Ndiyabulela sisi Modwento.
Molo tata kunjani?
Ndiyaphila siswami ninjani nine studio?
Siphilile tata singakunceda njani?
Siswami no ke tana ndifonela ukuncoma lento ke tana inhle endiyibonayo ke tana. Mna sisi ndazi lo sisi kuthiwa nguzinzile Madikwa.
Yebo.
Yes, lo sisi ke ndifuna umncoma inhle lento ayenzayo ke tana uyasikhuthaza eze ulutsha thina ngoba ngumkhaya wami lo sisi lo.
Yebo baba.
So ya isithathe lento kancinci thini yaqonda. But yena unamaphupha wayo ubone ngoba beyiposta apha ko Facebook zonke ezo zinto ezenza yabona. Ndifuna umbulela mana abanye kosisa abantu abangomama abazamayo ulutsha ingakumbi ulutsha bethunana ngase siphakamiseni.
Oh siyabulela nawe tata ngoba ubaphakamisile koluhlelo today. Thank you so much. Ubaba ke is basically praising one of amalokhuzana ama-case studies wethu usisi lona okuthiwa usedayisa impahla as a side hustle. By the way lo muntu une 9 to 5 so lento abantu bazothini kuthiwa let's get rid of it. We're back shortly after this. We're talking ezabo mama nemali ngoba siyazi ukuthi omama hey nithwele kanzima emakhaya you are breadwinners niphethe ama family nithwele yonke imindeni generations bonke bahleli la kunini emahlombe kodwa nina anikwazi ngisho ukuthi nihambe niyoyithengela iqhoksinyane elisha nje uma kumele ukuthi uhambe uthi ngiyo enjoy imali yami because there's a long list of abantu ababheka ukuthi wena kumele ubondle nawe awusakwazi nokuthi usebenzelani because usebenzela abantu 011 7146918 alternatively 7146919 consumer at sabc.co.za. Now doctor, according to research by Debt Busters, women are generally more stressed, it says, about their finances, home, work life and health than men. Now this is number one worrying trend. In particular, women were 30% more likely than men to be stressed about their health as a result of financial stress, and 20% more worried about paying their debt each month as compared to men. Look at these ratios.
Yeah.
Why are we carrying such a heavy burden? Where are the men in this country? And we're not saying sifuni imali zamavuso. We are saying where is the support? Where is the legislation to ensure that women are equal to men?
Okay, so I think what's very interesting culturally and socially, the way we've been conditioned and programmed is that men can live in a society with no rules and no responsibilities. That's why they can make babies and run. But women cannot do the same. So interestingly, I was reading a book that said we need confident women. We don't need women who are suffering from stress and depression, because then when you're in that space, you can't enforce rules.
Yes.
You can't enforce rules. You can't even be productive. So we need to build confidence for women so that we can start to have, as I said earlier on, those conversations that we need to have with our male counterparts so that we can enforce the rules. Simple things like someone being responsible for paying school fees, and simple things like, you know, when you are sharing responsibilities in the household, you don't want to have your money just paying school fees and buying groceries, and there's no investment you're making. In the meantime, your male counterpart is busy investing, and they also have more financial knowledge than you have. So therefore, I've read, and even interestingly had conversations where women, when you go and buy a house, someone will be made to sign for, for a title deed as a witness. Because you're not aware what's going on, you are not able to read the document, you even go and sign there as a witness instead of actually signing as a partner. So I think the financial literacy issue around women is something that we need to really, really work on so that we can have that financial confidence. But also an interesting thing culturally and socially, Alicia, is that when you discuss money, even during dating, remember there's a connotation around if you like money, you know, you are something else.
Yeah.
So all of
digger.
us are trying to be good girls by not talking about money.
But money needs to be discussed in every relationship.
About, and it's okay to love money.
It's very important, exactly.
It's okay to love money. We need to build our self-image around that and self-belief. It's okay to have a conversation around money. So men would use labels like, hey, you love money. And then you back off because you don't want to be regarded as that woman that loves money. Because then it's, you know, so the labeling is challenging for us. Then it keeps us, you know, trapped in our financial situations because we cannot have the right conversations around money with our partners.
Maybe Toby, just jump in there. I mean, when we talk about financial literacy, particularly around women, demographic and they need this education when it comes to finances. Are we talking about single mothers? Are we talking about mothers in general? Are we talking about women in general? Are we talking about high school girls? Are we talking about abantu abasakhula? Who specifically are we targeting and saying, listen, go and equip yourself with that knowledge ukuthi ufunde ngemali because you're going to need it one way or another?
So as a National Consumer Financial Education Strategy, Consumer Financial Committee, the strategy is to focus on women across the board. So this starts even from youth. So we include youth, we include elderly people. And then we also obviously focus on people that have small businesses. So the lady whose insert we saw earlier on, so even Lama participants who are using the Money Smart Week as a platform, some of those participants are focusing specifically on SMMEs. And one of the things we focus on, SMMEs, is financing that's available that is specifically targeted towards women. So there are a number of government departments, including agencies afana nesita, that are developing funding that is meant specifically for women and is meant to assist, in some instances, women in the rural areas. Because we also identify in the rural areas, there are higher levels of illiteracy. So yes, we understand it's a national issue that we have illiteracy and financial illiteracy, but we can also respect in the rural areas where we still have issues about schools being too far away, not being as accessible as they would be in the urban areas. That is also where we focus our energies.
So basically, I mean, let's talk about women empowerment, Dr. Mavis, and why is it so important? What specifically are we talking about when we're saying we want to empower women? Because we hear this word being thrown around at Women's Day events, only in August, by the way, in this country, which actually makes me mad because I don't understand that, like, I cannot understand that our issues must only be highlighted in 1 month.
No, but I think there is a lot of development for women that's going on. We do make a
how accessible
in August.
Is it, Dr. Mavis, and to who has access to it?
I think that is a challenge, who has access to it. But I think also you need to understand issues around finances. We generally are not comfortable to talk about money.
Yeah.
So even if you are doing something for free, to say, come for this financial literacy course, people don't show up because we have a fear of being exposed, right? There's something around money, the conditioning and the programming that is shaming around money that we don't even feel confident to talk in our circles as friends. Honest conversations around money. People don't have those, right? So what we do, we go around trying to show off status symbols. In the meantime, when we go to bed, we're stressing on our own because of the level of stress we have around finances. So we don't have honest conversations around us because of, you want to maintain a status. You want people to think you're making it. But in the meantime, you're actually making financial errors because you're not having honest conversations. So
Financial faux pas, yeah.
Yes. So I think empowerment is happening around us, leadership empowerment, money and women. But I think there's also an issue of people generally resent money conversations.
Bantu kuthiwa ake siyekeni ukuthi sisabe lawo ma conversations ngeimali asiqoqane ekhaya sithi mesidla kube idina kube kubekiwe la ukuthi hey ngempela kumele ngempela kukhulunywe ngeimali because we need to plan around these things. Sibonile ukuthi COVID iyenzeni and ithusa abantu abaningi which were actually found wanting bengazi ukuthi bazokwenza njani because of imali. 0117146918 0117146919. We're back shortly after this. Indawo. Bogeli, welcome back. Ubheka Yilungelo Lakho, mina ngumajali ngihleli nosisithobile Masina we-NC Fake no Dr. Ngicela nizwe lapho Dr. Mavis Mozora, who's a financial expert. Ngingasfonela la studio 011-714-6918 or 714-6919. The topic today kubalekile yebo mama thina i-relationship yethu nemali asisho kodwa ukuthi kabi sithi sicela ukunifundisa ukuthi nishintshe indlela enicabanga ngayo ngemali ukuthi imali yebo siyayisebenzela ayitholwa nje ayikhiwe ezihlahleni but also siyenza kanjani ke le mali encane ukuthi senze sure ukuthi iyasebenzela and iyasustaina. All right, let's take our caller on the line. We do have Umam Angelina all the way in Pretoria. Sakwamukela Mbokodo, welcome to the show. Singakusiza kanjani namhlanje? Mam Angelina, ngicela wehlisa umabonakude wakho.
Hello njani mama?
Ngiyaphila mawami kunjani?
Uphilile.
Ngiyaphila mawami, singakusiza kanjani?
Mama Angelina, ngihlala ePretoria.
Okay, ma, siyakwamukela.
Mama, ufuna nami kuyenza ibusiness. Kuthi ningifundise ngebusiness ya crash. Kuthi ngicela kanjani mama?
Ibusiness kanjani mama Angelina?
Yeah, ufuna ukuqala ngo-crash kuqala.
Oh, ufuna ukuqala nge-crash wena mama Angelina.
Yeah, and then ngiyenza khona lapha uqale ekuthengisa futhi ingiqala kuthengisa ngifuna ukuthi ngenze njani.
Okay, all right mama Angelina, siyabonga kakhulu. Nangu mama Angelina mbukeli, sicela nawe ukuthi mawufuna ukubuza ukuthi wena ke yini mhlawumbe ongayenza ukuthi uzame ukuthi uthole imali. Sisithobile. I mean, what are some of the businesses mama bangazenza? I mean, we saw amalokhuzana ethu sisizinsekelelo. She works a 9 to 5 but she sells clothes on the side. It's an online store. Ibusiness iyapusheka, she can pay rent. She's got money for those extra things. Yiphi nangu mama Angelina uthi yena she wants to ufuna ukudayisa and she also wants to start ilokhuzana inkulisa yabantwana endaweni ahlala ngayo. This is somebody who's taking an initiative ukuthi othi ngingahlali ngithi abantu bazothini. Let me do something about it. What advice can you give her?
So I think advice yokuqala singayisho ukuthi the first thing is abantu kufanele bangazilimit in terms of, you know, the types of businesses that they can start.
Yeah.
So Tina, through the work that we've done as an office, because nathi we senze ama activities, ama campaigns, ama outreach campaigns,
okay,
where we travel with other government departments. And through those, what we've identified is that there are some government departments that will even fund ama franchises. So, with a franchise, some people might think, it's safer to have a franchise because somebody else has already identified ama risks akhona kuleyo franchise. But also there are certain government departments that will fund a franchise if you are approved to have that franchise. So I would say, Uguti, one of the things is don't just limit it even as a side hustle, because one of the things we know is that SMMEs actually are the creators of the most employment within South Africa. So with SMMEs, even if, kona like ama business umuntanga waqala to, have a petrol station, there are businesses that people can start, even ama construction industries. And intesibo nayo, specifically from ama government departments, that extend the financing to abantu, is the fact that they are trying to encourage women to venture, specifically into those businesses, because we don't see a lot of women dominating those industries. So bakhona abantu besifazane who can enter into those spaces, because some women are already working in mines. Some of them already have the expertise. And like the lady Esimbonile, who's developed a side hustle because it's something that she's comfortable with. We know ukuthi bakhona abantu besifazane abangaqala ama business njengoba umama asho angathuthukisa not just them but ama communities abagiwo, because there might be financing that is available for those industries that are not ordinarily dominated by women. So I think the advice maybe that we need to give is to say, don't limit it based on what you see just other women doing, but expand the scope of what you might be able to do, because mhlampe when unasi skill that is specific to you as a woman, that you can identify ukuthi even with this skill, this industry is not something where we see a lot of women thrive or whatever it is. But that also means you are creating an opportunity for other young women to see ukuthi we also have an opportunity to enter spaces where we can see that men are dominant.
Break the glass ceiling, my ladies. Reach for the sky. Uvana ungene ngqo uye lapha eoffice la sisithobile uthi sisithobile mina ngifuna uqala ibhizinisi enje ngicela advice ngiqala kuphi ngakuphi ngifuna ukudayisa izinto eziserious. Do it. Why can't you? Now, Dr. Mavis, let's talk about these barriers that are inherent, that are currently locking these women out of the economic system. system yiziphi and how do we change that? Njengoba seshilo sisithobile ukuthi it's one of those things. It's male-dominated industries, but those are theories and stereotypes that we've created.
Yeah, they are, and also, while there are stereotypes and theories we've created, they create psychological barriers. Because then you say to yourself, I can't access this. It's not for me. It's for men. And then when you get in there, sometimes you fail because you're already telling yourself that self-doubting. So then you set up yourself for failure because you don't actually believe you can do it. Right? And also, it's challenging to be, in an industry where you're surrounded by men. It takes a lot of courage, right?
By South African
men. Lots of courage, right? So you need to build, those are some of the barriers because already when you go in and you're dealing with a lot of men, there's the stereotypes carry on, people will use language that, indicate that you're a male just because you're in a male-dominated industry. And nobody wants to be male.
Or they'll degrade you for just being a woman in that space.
Exactly. So I think there are so many, psychological barriers as a result of our acculturation, as a result of our socialization. But I think it's not impossible that we can still thrive in those areas. We just need to be aware of those psychological barriers and get the support you need, right? Whether it is coaching that you need to be able to build the confidence, whether it is, counseling you need, because you are going to get psychologically threatened by just virtue of being in an environment where you're the only female. And sometimes you might even find yourself starting to change your own sort of, expression. You become male in expression because
Doctor, sorry to cut you there, Doctor. You know what? Now that you've said that, I actually used to do mining a while back, and I would legit arrive in my heels, and these guys would legit stand there like, what is this woman doing here in heels? You can't go underground. You have to do this. And I was just like, listen, I'm here to work. So whether I'm wearing heels or not, I'm going to go do what I need to do. So maybe we need to start saying, who are these women that are going to make sure that we stop doubting ourselves and going out there? Just hold that thought, Dr. Mavis Mbugeli. Let's take another quick ad break. In fact, we're coming back shortly after this. Mbukeli ngisahleli lana noMiss Thobile Masina ovela ANC Fake alongside Dr. Mavis Mazura, who's a financial expert. Besibhizi ke namhlanje sidinga indaba ukuthi njengomama emakhaya sinisiza kanjani ukuthi niyeke ukuthi nihlale nithwele lo mthwalo weimali futhi ningazi ukuthi le mali nisebenzela ngokuyikhandla kangaka enigcina ningasakwazi nokuyi-enjoya, ni-save kanjani, niyenza kanjani ukuthi nina nibhekele nina kuqala. All right, let's take our last caller, uMamntombi ePretoria. Mamntombi, ngiyakubonga kahle ukuthi uhlalile ocingweni wasilinda sisekhefini masingakusiza kanjani siyakwamukela. Mamntombi ePitoli usekhona?
Ngisekhona ninjani?
Yebo mawami, singakusiza kanjani namhlanje Ntokazi?
Ngintombi ngangithengisa ukudla ema-ground wama-tournament webhola.
Okay.
Nipheka kodwa ngishaya i-transport ukuyibhadala.
Okay.
And then futhi ngayeka ngenza i-stand ukuthi ngenze i-crash, ngafunda ngathola i-certificate. Nginesende ekhaya ngathenga ngakampela ngenza yonke into baloke bayangijontshela always bayatshontsha. Anginamuntu ongibhekako emuva ongincedako kwabona.
Okay ma, so ufuna sikusize kanjani sina? Ufuna ukubuza nje ukuthi mhlambe ama challenges anjalo udlula kona kanjani? Mamntombi. Alright, I think
bengicela ukubuza ukuthi ngingancedakala ukuthi ngithole something engiphushako ukuthi lamabhizinisi wami njengemali ukuthi ngiwaphushe angaloke alengile.
Okay.
All
right. Okay. I think Mavis, she's basically saying that, she's tried multiple businesses in her area. It's either people come and steal. It's either people are just not going to support. So she's asking basically, how do you keep that positive mindset and keep going? Because she spoke about 3 businesses she's tried and it has all failed.
Yeah, I mean, trying and failing is part of the process. unfortunately. Sometimes some people succeed after 10 times, right? So I think it's also an issue of what support does she need in terms of learning, what skill set does she need, so that when she gets into the next business, she's equipped in terms of making the right choices for her business, but also getting the right support for her business around her. So I think really getting herself into maybe an accelerator program, entrepreneurship program where she can learn, a few things around, starting a business, managing a business, finding the right market, marketing. So she needs to expose herself to more learning rather than getting into the next business without...
So basically invest wholeheartedly in this business that you want to offer, not just the actual part that is going to be making you money. So things like security. I mean, she spoke about the fact that abantu bamtshontshela.
Yes.
So investing in security, knowing your finances is all part of it.
It is all part of it. And I think what's interesting here, Alicia, what comes through, and we spoke about it earlier on, is that we are more interested in the outcome, not the process. We don't want to develop the skills. Yes, the process is more important for you to be able to get sustainable outcomes. So it's important to invest in yourself as a business owner. You're the biggest asset of your business.
All right.
Right? So the level of knowledge you have or skill set and attitudes you have will determine the success of your business.
Tobile, I mean, let's talk about these women that are supposed to be role models that are supposed to be fighting for legislation and making sure we're moving forward as a country in terms of women's rights and legislation. Bapi, who are they? Bapi, because I'm trying to find umuntu engathi if there was to be an activist or one engathi mhlambe lo osendaweni. I'm struggling.
I think, Alicia, it's unfortunate because abantu abaningi who are the activists are actually working behind the scenes. So mhlampe mangakubekisela with the chairperson of the NCFEC, she is actually employed by the National Treasury. And in her capacity as chairperson of the NCFEC, into ayiqhazelelayo yena ukuthi ama programs afana ne-Money Smart Week South Africa are important, for financial education in South Africa, because if you look at the types of participants now on that platform and the types of topics and themes that they cover as part of that, we are trying, to address the types of issues that we've heard today.
Unfortunately, we're out of time. Mina, my argument today is these women that are in the background, behind the scenes, asinboneni zangaphambili. Let's champion you as abantu that are going to ensure ukuthi we further amalokuzana amalungelo abantu besimame. Mbukeli, that's unfortunately where we leave it for today. Thank you so much to my guest, Ms. Tobile Masina, alongside Dr. Mavis Mazura. Nani lapho ekhaya ukuthi nisfonele. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon la kwilungelo lakho from me uMajali. Ngithi nisale kahle emakhaya. Ladies, take care of yourselves.
Yilungelo